Yesterday we spoke about trans people in the army. Tonight we're talking about women, specifically women in the Indian Army. They scored a big victory in 2020. That's when India's Supreme Court opened up leadership roles for them. Until then, only men could become commanding officers or COs. It's been 4 years since that verdict. The Army now has 108 women COs, 108 women commanding officers. But not everyone is happy about this. A senior officer has written a letter to the Eastern Army commander. His name is Lieutenant General Rajeev Puri. The letter is basically a review of 8 women COs. And the findings? Well, listen to this. It says women COs lack tact and empathy. They settle issues through might, not mutual respect. They hold prejudices and mistrust. They try to overcompensate for perceived softness. They file complaints at the drop of a hat. They maintain a mean facade. They have a misplaced sense of entitlement, and their approach is my way or the highway. This is a top general's assessment of women commanders. Now, first things first, this is not a reflection on all women COs. This is just 8 out of 108. Secondly, let's assume that these issues do exist. Was this the best way to address them? Were these the right words to use? Some women officers say that the letter is disturbing. They believe things could have been handled in a dignified way, which is a fair point. And third, how real are these claims? The truth is, it's impossible for us to know. We don't have information about how these women COs lead. Maybe these concerns are all valid. Maybe they're exaggerated. Maybe they're completely false. Your guess is as good as mine. But when it comes from a senior officer, they must be addressed. So what is the solution? The general says, forget gender equality. Instead, focus on gender neutrality. Meaning, do not make appointments based on gender, make them based on gender neutral criteria. It sounds like a fair ask. But it also must be placed in context. You see, women were never groomed to be military leaders. Until 2020, they were not even eligible. So challenges were bound to emerge eventually. But the solution is not to make a U-turn. The solution is to invest more in women leaders, more time, more energy, and more patience. What doesn't help is letters that smack of sexism. And by the way, other countries have done it. More than 14 NATO countries have female 3-star generals. Israel also has women in commanding positions in their military. Does anyone think that NATO is a weak military? Or that Israel is not a professional army? I don't think so. Also, just consider what this assessment is trying to say, that women commanders have leadership issues. That maybe it's not such a good idea. And that too, when India's commander-in-chief is a woman. The president, Draupadi Murmu. We've had female defense ministers. We've also had a female prime minister. Would similar questions have been raised on their temperament? Privately, maybe. But like this? Again, I don't think so. If there are real issues, they must be sorted out. After all, this is a case of national security. This is a matter of national security. But sweeping statements and letters that are made public may not be the answer. And if they're not real issues, even more questions may have to be asked. Uncomfortable but necessary questions.